Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, Dan Illman here at the DRF.com news desk. Kind of a bonus weekend warrior piece with DRF National Handicapper Mike Watchmaker. Mike, is there anything in particular as we close the door in Saratoga? We have opening weekend here at Belmont Park for the Fall Championship meeting. Anything in particular that you're really focused on as we go forward toward the Breeders' Cup?
Well, I love Belmont Park because it's my home track, number one. So I'm as much as I love Saratoga, I'm happy to get back to Belmont. Of course, I'm looking forward to what everybody else is looking forward to. I mean, in a graded stakes sense, the Belmont Fall Meet has basically become a 2-day meet, and it's now Turf Classic Day and Super Saturday. So you're going to have to really make the most out of those 2 days. And I'm really interested in Super Saturday and specifically what Honor Code does. I mean, I find it very curious that after proving he could indeed root at the highest levels of the game by winning the Whitney over Liam's Map, who came back to be so impressive in the Woodward, that, they would talk about shortening him up and maybe instead of running in the 1.25 mile Jockey Club Gold Cup, running in the 1 mile Kelso. And why would you do that if you're prepping for the Breeders' Cup Classic? I just don't know. But I don't question Shug McGaughey. He's a trainer I have the utmost respect for, but I'm curious to see what he does. And the other thing I'm looking forward to is I really want to see some improvement in general amongst the 2-year-old males that we have. I thought the 2-year-old males that we saw at Saratoga were pretty weak. There was one that really caught my eye, and that was a Champion of the Nile who ran very fast, getting his maiden win in his second start after making a turf start, not his intended surface in his debut. He was the 2-year-old that really caught my eye up at Saratoga this summer, and I want to see some improvement from the 2-year-old males as a group this fall, or else I'm going to be worried about this division going forward into next year.
You make a great point about Honor Code. You trust Shug McGaughey to be sure. You certainly trust Honor Code at a one-turn mile. But Matt, you and I have been talking about it. It just seems a little bit strange that you wouldn't prep in the way more prestigious Jockey Club Gold Cup at the distance of the Breeders' Cup Classic and instead going for the Kelso. Not sure what to make of it.
No, and I agree. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. We talk about you want to treat them like they're good horses, and like Mike, you alluded to. You beat Liam's Map on the square. I understand Liam's Map ran every step of the way, but he came back to flatter that. Now you're talking about cutting him back for a prep for a 10-furlong race. Doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense, but I'm also in agreement with you, Mike. The Champagne, I think, is going to be kind of a 2-year-old race that it's either going to be determining, do we want any of these 2-year-olds going down to Lexington for the Breeders' Cup here on the East Coast, or is this going to be a West Coast sort of a party?
Well, yeah, I mean, but we're talking about the Champagne, and if we want to see some good East Coast 2-year-olds running the Champagne, they better debut very quickly. Right. Because if not, it's going to be somebody we've already seen running in the Champagne, and they'll have to really take a massive step forward second time out to really impress me. I just want to stress, since we were talking about Honor Code, in Shug we trust. I mean, he's one of the few trainers in this game that you do not question. I mean, if he's running Honor Code and the Kelso, there's a method to that thinking. So it's just interesting that he would even consider that and be public about it. But I didn't mean to shift gears on you again, but I did want to say in Shug we trust.
No, and Mike mentions we'd like to see a 2-year-old step up and run a big race. I'd like to see it, and I'm assuming I'm just being very, very hopeful, and I'm dubious that it's really going to work out. I want to see a turf horse show up in North America in the Joe Hirsch Turf Classic on September the 26th, because as we saw with Flincher and the Sword Dancer, our horses just don't stack up.
Well, I mean, unless you believe Red Rifle is all of a sudden really good, and but he was beaten 2.5 lengths in the Sword Dancer, and 2.5 lengths in turf racing is as big as the Grand Canyon. I mean, it's a massive difference, because turf margins are generally so compressed that when you get a big one like that, it's really big. So, I think that Joe Hirsch is going to be ripe for plunder by some other European. I'm sure Aidan O'Brien will send some third stringer over, and much like he did for the Secretariat at Arlington, and to win by 5. And and everybody will be lining up to bet all the Euros in the Breeders' Cup.
It's one of those things where I'm probably being hopeful, but as you guys both said, in Shug we trust. I still want to see Ironicus going farther. I still think distance is his friend. But again, Shug knows a heck of a lot more than I do. Mike Watchmaker, DRF National Handicapper, thanks as always, and it'll be interesting to see how things shake down here at this Belmont Fall Championship meeting.